Selection of music,
It's
huh?
old school, yeah?
Yeah, love it. Okay, now still with Vishal here.
Yes.
So in terms of competition in this type of industry, especially versus the conventional, like banking industry, how do you see it so far?
Most of the talk has been that fintechs will disrupt the bank and all those kind of things. From the beginning, our view has been that's not the case. Banks are here to stay, primarily because banks have the regulations advantage, and they are doing quite a lot of job in terms of developing the trust amongst the users. So what potentially would happen is that the fintechs and banks will tie up. They'll join hands together, because banks will see the advantage of the fintechs, that they are agile, they're innovative, and they can launch some product very fast. And where the banks have the advantage of the customer base, and they have the trust of the customers. So they'll work hand in hand. So I don't see competing against each other. Rather, I see that we will be developing the market together.
Okay, especially in terms of lending.
Especially in terms of the lending. And there are many other parts of the fintech also, like robo-advisory, which will be again together with the banks.
And you also loan for educational, if I'm not mistaken,
Correct.
yeah? And how does that work, though?
So education loan also, instead of asking them to produce all the certificates first, and again, they need the loan for the education of, for example, their children. And they just need whichever school, whichever university they get admission in, they don't have the papers in advance. So we provide them the cash. So they mention that the purpose of the loan is education, and this is the child who wants to go to this education institute, and they get the loan.
Okay. So the question now is, this is a basic question. How do you secure this, like these clients or these entrepreneurs to actually stay on with the, to pay back, for example, after they borrow?
So when we ask them that how we can help you to pay back, so most of them needs reminders, that because they are not doing any cash flow management. So we would remind them, automated reminders, and we would call them also. So that helps them to pay. So that's one of the things. Another is that it has to be in the beginning itself, that all the fraud detection, the technology had to help all the fraud detection, and who are the kind of payers which we would want. So that's where the data analytics play a role. So the data analytics part has to be extremely strong.
So there are requirements as well in order to loan, right?
Right. So there are two types of requirements. Usually, current institution will ask for the papers. Right? That's the direct requirement. We do not ask for all those papers. What we get is their web footprint. So whatever they have left on the internet. So that itself is enough, because there is a lot of rich data available with which we can do the same assessment, which will be done by the submission of paper by them.
Like a background check online.
You can say in one way, background check online. So there is something which is left, like what kind of device you are using, and all those kind of things are there, which comes on the background.
So the user has to be actively on the internet, yeah?
So user doesn't have to be active on the internet, because if they have the phone, they would have also the number of contacts, number of SMSs sent. All this also is a data point. So when you look at this data, this opens up a completely different world. Which the way we look at the data is completely different than the way a traditional industry would look at it.
All right. Now, you mentioned about the competition. You're not competing with banking industry, but how about competing with other players from outside Indonesia? Because last year I heard that so many, international companies, they have been eyeing on Indonesia as a huge market. So how do you see it?
So there is the competition for this kind of market where the underbanked and unbanked population is high is good, because it helps the consumer, it expands the market. Like as we earlier discussed, that fintech, whether it is known throughout Indonesia or not, if there are many players, more and more people will know about it. Second, for international companies, it is not that easy, because it is a regulated industry, right? To wade through the regulation and the cultural differences, especially the competition from the western part of the world, who mostly focus on the efficiency rather than improving the lives of the people, find it a bit difficult. And that is the reason, as of today, if you will see, Tunaiku segment, there is still, we are operating from last 3 years, there is still not a single competition.
All right. How about the local players, though?
So local players, most of the players are in the payment and also in the lending in different segments. So there are some players who are in the collateral lending. There are some players addressing, because the market is big, right? So they're addressing different type of segments.
But you're playing in both.
We are playing in both, but we are playing in the smaller. So what we are doing, we are in the bottom of the pyramid. We are focusing more on the social impact and financial inclusion. So segment B and C of the pyramid.
All right. And in terms of cities, are bigger cities responding more to financial technology as compared to maybe the rural areas and other cities?
So in terms of the cities, because of the internet penetration more in Jabotabek, Surabaya, Bandung, Medan and all, usually you will see all the fintech players will start within these cities and then eventually take it forward. Because these are good learning grounds, and also of the large population base over here, it covers half of the population. Right? And if you look at the working population between Jabotabek, Surabaya and all, you'd cover more than 60% of the population.
Okay, and in terms of the growth in this business compared to last year, can you tell us more about it though?
So in this industry, the growth you can say is month on month. We would be growing instead of an year on year. Month on month, the growth is above 20%. That's the kind of growth this industry enjoys because the market is huge.
Okay, and about the financial inclusion, how do you see it in Indonesia people so far? Because it's still a big issue here, financial inclusion, understanding the products as well.
Correct. So financial inclusion, if you see the definition of it, usually some would define that having a bank account is financial inclusion, which is actually not. What financial inclusion really means is that the people who are low income earning, let's say 5 million rupiah, something happens in their life, then it doesn't change the course of their life by attracting them towards the loan sharks or the likes. How do you do that? There are three legs to it. One is the bank account. Second is the access to the capital, that when they need the capital, there is an access. Third is insurance. So these are the micro insurance, right? So these are the three legs which are required to make people financially included. So we are working on the leg of the lending, the access to capital, that they have the capital when they need it. So today only 10% of the 10 to 15% of the total population, you can say, is accessing capital through the organized financial channel. All full. So out of 240 million, you can say 200 million plus is not accessing through regular channels. So that's the market which is available.
All right, that's huge.
Right. Very interesting, though, seems like. So how do you see fintech, though, in this next couple of years to come?
So I see that many players will be there. Technology players would be also interested in it. Like you can see, like Gojek, Tokopedia, and all technology players would be also entering in this segment. And because they have the customers, they are entering through like GoPay, payment and transaction. So these are the kind of things would happen. So you'll have banks tying up with the fintech. You'll have the technology companies who have the customer base. They are sitting on the data and the technology. So all the players will be trying to address this market.
And now focusing on Tunaiku, I know you mentioned about Ramadan, that you've been helping this type of business as well. But can you elaborate more on that?
Right. So I'll take an example of the customer whom we recently met. Right. So she is working. She's a working mother. She is having a small shop. And it was surprising to know that how she discovered the online shopping, right? So she discovered from her friends that she can go on Tokopedia and she can start selling. If I can, later on I can promote her brand also. So she goes to Tanah Abang, buys the shop, and then she takes a picture and puts it up on the Facebook and starts selling. And she's making good margin over there. But now for that, she needs cash. So that's how she approached us, and she has already taken loan from us a couple of times, and she has mentioned that it has helped her to increase the business. She takes the cash, goes in the market, buys the product, takes a picture, and sells it and makes a profit. And she developed her brand. Her brand is called Mollipop.
Mollipop.
She is in the Facebook. And if you look, these kind of entrepreneurs are there. Many entrepreneurs, small, who just need 10 million rupiah, 15 million rupiah to increase their businesses, and they need it, but they need it urgently. They need it fast.
And these include like designers, for example, to try to open like their clothing line. That can happen as well, right?
Correct. Exactly. So there are many creative people over here who need it for designing purpose. There are many people who are just in trading. So there are very different
many
types
sectors in the industry.
Correct. Various sectors in the industries.
Okay, can you share us now how do people actually try to get started with Tunaiku?
So there are various channels. Apart from the word of mouth, when they look for the loan, they get us. Then the Facebook. Then we also focus a lot on financial education. So we have our own portal called suara.tunaiku.com.
The Suara.
The Suara portal play.
Suara portal, right. So what it does is that it focuses on three legs. It is education, financial education. Creation, we kind of encourage users to create the content, because if somebody has the experience of, let's say, going through a wedding and how to save for the wedding, how to manage the finances during the time of wedding, it is much better from a user coming the experience than somebody in a lecture room giving a lecture, this is how you should manage your finances. So we encourage creation. And third is inspiration. So we inspire them to save money. So what we say, what the whole idea of financial education is how you manage your finances. Taking loan is just cash flow management. Yeah. We are there when you need it. But most important is that you should know what you're getting into, what's the interest rate you're paying, how you're going to pay back. Think about the loan which you're taking. So financial education actually helps the whole industry. So that's the reason we have a big focus on that. That's one of the channels through which people come. So when they read about it, they get more and more educated, and then at some point of time, whenever they need loan, they know where to go.
And you're open for discussion as well in that portal, right?
Correct. It's open for discussion within the users, and our people are sitting there who would advise that okay, if it is correct or not, and they're the financial experts who would make the suggestions.
And what is the biggest question that they always ask?
So one of the questions is that how do I, so small question, like for motorcycle, I want to buy the motorcycle. This is my monthly income. So how do I buy it? So okay, this is the amount you need to save. This is my education goal. How do I go about it?
Okay. And do you ever have to reject any user that wants to loan from you?
Yeah, there are rejection going to be there.
And
so,
usually why?
So again, the algorithm, the credit scoring algorithm. So suppose if in a traditional way, somebody when submits the paper, when the bank rejects, primarily because the statement says that they cannot pay, right? What they're asking for, they won't be able to pay. So that's what the credit scoring algorithm tries to do, is that the loan amount which they've asked for is more than what they can afford to pay.
And that's why you're hand in hand with banking industry for that, right?
Correct.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much.
Vishal, thank you so much for joining us today and
Thank you, and all the best for Tunaiku. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.